You know what's fun? Threatening all your friends who haven't read the Harry Potter books with spoiling the end of Deathly Hallows. I tried telling one of them that Harry and Voldemort have a duel and they cross wand streams and the whole world blows up. I don't think they've seen Ghostbusters. So here we are, guys. The final week before Harry Potter. Actually, the week of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This is it. It is coming to an end. So now we're going to start wrapping up the reviews. Only got 3 more to do, and today we'll be reviewing Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, the book and the movie. Actually, the newsprint you guys have been looking at for the past couple weeks is actually from when Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix came out, back in July of 2007. Oh, I remember those days. Yeah, right before the book came out too, which is that one. Got at the book release. Anyway, just nostalgia stuff there. I'm watching the Harry Potter Part 2 live stream of the red carpet right now, so it's a weird feeling, that this is coming to an end. But we'll talk about that later. Today, we're talking about Order of the Phoenix. As far as the movies go, Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix is usually placed at the bottom of the list, and I think for a good reason. I still think it's a really good movie, but it is usually picked out as the worst of the bunch. And yet again, I say worst in relative terms. I still think it's a good movie, but it's really, I get it's hard, This is David Yates' first time as directing a Harry Potter movie. This is the longest Harry Potter book. It is so intensely filled with so much information, really. This book, there's ridiculous amounts of things that you would have to include into this movie, and for some reason they decided to shoot for the shortest movie, at least at the time. I don't know really why they did that, because they were having success. I mean, Goblet of Fire, yes, I've said that they did leave a considerable amount of things out, but it still worked a lot better as a movie in its whole. Now, don't get me wrong, Order of the Phoenix gets so many things right by the way of the book. The things that it does include, it does them very, very well. It captures the exact feelings I got when I was reading the book, but then on the other hand, they just cut so much out, and I try not to complain about when they cut things out, more so when they're changing things, but even at that, you have to compare them. You can't compare them per se with the movie to the book, because that happens too often. They had to be judged as their own separate product or material, art form, whatever you want to call it. But here it impedes upon the story in a big way. The Order of the Phoenix book, I do love, but I feel like you can definitely feel its length at times. There are points where it does drag, very slightly though, and then gets back into this pace. I think there's so much I love about the Order of the Phoenix book. I think there's also an estranged feeling from it, because while yes, Harry's really never had any completely comfortable times at Hogwarts in any of his years, here everything is kind of pulled out from under his feet, and you as a reader, with Umbridge there in the Ministry, and just really everything just sucks for Harry. There's so much, the owls are approaching, there's just so much shit. Really, there is. There's just stress, and you can feel it as a reader, because at this point in the series, you've kind of tapped in with these characters. You are one with these characters. So things that piss the characters off piss you off, especially Umbridge. Oh my god, I hate Umbridge. But where Goblet of Fire leaves off makes you so excited for Order of the Phoenix, or for the continuation of the story, because it's this brisk kind of, this feeling like, alright, we're starting this retaliation, we're gonna stop Voldemort before he comes back to power, and he's just come back, and Harry's gone through this horrifying experience that has obviously changed him, and you expect Order of the Phoenix to kind of pick right up with that pace that you end with Goblet of Fire, and I think J.K. Rowling purposely does this. She mulls everything over, because you start in Order of the Phoenix, and Harry has no clue what's going on. He's completely shut off. Everything's kind of slowed down. Nothing's turning out the way he expected it to. Even when you get to the Order of the Phoenix, they're really not making many great advancements onto Voldemort. So you kind of get this feeling that things aren't going so great, which continues throughout the entire book. I think in that sense, they really, really capture that in the movie. They get this. They do Umbridge so well. I mean, as much as I hate that character, because she's just evil. She's a despicable, vile woman, but they capture that so well. And then they really do capture the emotional impact of Order of the Phoenix so much, obviously with Sirius, and even the scene with Trelawney and, you know, McGonagall and then Dumbledore coming to the defense. I think that was great. The book, it really tries to compress so much, and it doesn't feel like it flows as well, because there are a lot of repetitions in the book, and I think there could have been good stuff to cut out, like them, Ron and Hermione being perfect. I was fine with that being cut out of the movie. I never even liked it all too much. I never cared for that notion in the book. Hermione, obviously, but I was like, Ron, no. It's the only movie that wasn't written by screenwriter Steve Kloves. I don't remember exactly what the reasoning for him not writing this one, but you can definitely tell because the writing style is completely different, and with David Yates coming on the first time, it probably would have done well to have someone who's been writing all the scripts be there with Yates, but Yates himself does a very good job of visually, you know, it's a lot like the direction of Alfonso Cuarón, who directed the critically acclaimed Prisoner of Azkaban. And I think that is, the things he adapts from the book. This is the first time we go into the Ministry in the book. So in the movie, the way they do the Ministry of Magic, the actual place was so well done. It's this great utilitarian-looking place, as opposed, kind of in contrast to the rest of the Wizarding world, especially Hogwarts, that has this gothic look. There's something that's said, I don't think it's said in the book, but it's said in the movie. It's from Sirius, and it's, you know, something that really doesn't happen in the book. Or Mad Eye gives Harry the picture of the original Order of the Phoenix in the book, but Sirius gives it to him in the movie, in the underground, I think that's where it is. And he says, you know, you're the young ones now anyway. And I really liked that because throughout the entire thing, you kind of had this feeling that, like, you know, they're passing the torch almost, whatever the saying is. You know, they need to train, they need to fight, and I think that is something also very well done in the movie. They kind of, this youth, this vigor, and they're going to go out and start this army, Dumbledore's army, and I think, from the book to the movie, that is done very well. Where the movie really drops the ball for me in relation to the book, but also because it affects the story so, is where we're going into the prophecy. I think they do a good build-up to the Department of Mysteries, but once, I really feel like ironically, they drop the ball because, get it, because the prophecy is like a sphere, drop the ball. Yeah, I know. So clever. With the prophecy, that is something that is so big in the book. You know, it really is. We have the part of the story that's devoted to Dumbledore's army, and then the other part, or at least the beginning of this war, and then the other part is the prophecy, because it is something when Dumbledore sits down and explains it. This is something that's kind of been alluded to, unbeknownst to the reader at the time, in the previous 4 books. It's something that's held weight. It's questions you've never really had answered. It's this big, important thing, and it shapes what happens in the next 2 books. And yes, Harry's dubbed as the Chosen One, and that's kind of thrown in there in Half-Blood Prince, like, oh, he's the Chosen One now. But I feel like they muffle the prophecy. They don't give it its due. They do not explain it well enough. They do not develop it well enough. If I were an outsider, someone who hadn't read the books or really just liked the movies, I would obviously feel very confused by Order of the Phoenix, or at least the end. And I think that's where it really goes wrong for me. If I could forgive all of the things that they took out that I felt really needed to be in there, at least they could have done the prophecy right, but I feel like they totally messed that up. Probably go into much more explanations, but I'd probably be monotonous, and I also have another video to make now. Anyway, I give the movie an 8.5 out of 10. I still think it's a really good movie, just my least favorite of the Potter bunch, and that's still not saying much. Did I rhyme? And yeah, I love the book, and watch out, uploading another video very soon, so...